Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you. So this video is being pre-filmed on July 15th. I don't think it's going up until like August 5th, but I'm filming reactions today and I'm on a roll, so I'm just gonna get this one done with as well. I am currently at home in Michigan when you're watching this. But yeah. So today we are doing another TikTok reaction to start August off strong. These are just some stragglers from my last reaction that I filmed because I didn't realize how much I had saved. And so, yeah, so we're just gonna use them because I found them, but that's all I have for this intro, so let's just get into it. We're starting off strong with some Marissa Matthews, and she's responding to a comment, so I'm gonna read it here. It says, "A person might have fat, but can't be fat itself. In my opinion, you are attractive, voluptuous, creative, brilliant, outgoing, hilarious, colorful, and freaking awesome." Little party popper emoji, praise hand emoji, thumbs up emoji, sunglasses emoji, red heart emoji. That's what the comment says. And this is her response.
No, I am fat, and your comment is actually very invalidating, so let me explain why. I'm literally fat because I'm fat. But yes, I am attractive, I'm voluptuous, I'm creative, I'm brilliant, outgoing, hilarious, colorful, and freaking awesome. I'm all of those things, but I'm also fat. Fat does not mean ugly. Fat does not mean unworthy. Fat does not mean disgusting. Fat does not mean any of those biased stereotypes that diet culture has told you that fat means. Fat has never meant or equaled those things before, and a lot of fat people are reclaiming the word fat because they don't actually mean those things, and it's just a descriptive word to describe our bodies. So by you telling me that I'm not fat, it's very invalidating. And by you telling me that I'm not fat, it's invalidating my personal experience as a fat person in our fatphobic society. I don't think that's what you're trying to do here.
This one just made me laugh because I really feel like she completely like missed the point of this comment, because that's what this person's saying. They said a person might have fat but can't be fat themselves. And I understand what she's saying about like you're invalidating whatever, but like also that doesn't make sense to me, so I don't really understand what she's saying if I'm being completely honest. But I just think this person, it's like the whole conversation around people being like, you're not fat, you're beautiful, right? It's like I can be beautiful and fat at the same time. I just love how she took this like otherwise very positive comment and like very nice comment and turned it into an insult. When she gets so many actual insults on her TikTok page, and I made a video about that last year about how she came back to the internet, and I didn't think she should because she can't handle online criticism and online trolls. This is a nice comment. And so I'm just like, I think we missed the point here, dear. And yeah, I just don't like Marissa, so I don't really give her a lot of grace if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, this just made me giggle because I feel like she just completely missed the point. Anyways, on to a different one.
To summarize and catch everyone up, if you're an artist who only draws skinny people, I'm going to assume that you're not able to draw fat people and therefore you're a bad artist. If you're a fashion designer or a designer in general and you do not make clothes for fat and plus size people, I'm going to assume that you can't do that and therefore you're a bad designer. If you make furniture and jewelry and other things that are used by fat people and you don't make it for fat people, I'm going to assume that you are bad at doing the job that you do and therefore you shouldn't be doing it.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know, as I say oftentimes on this channel, I'm not a doctor. I went to art school, and I'm a graphic designer, and I can't draw anything. I can draw on an iPad, but I can't draw, like draw. I had to take an illustration class in college and it was grim, besties. Anyways, this conversation to me I had never heard before. And so when I came across this TikTok, I was like, I have to talk about this. One thing that I learned while being in art school and being surrounded by artsy fartsy types like all the time, all day, every day, and still being that pretty much now in my regular life, I have learned that a lot of the art that people make is based off of what they know. And I can say that for me as well. I personally don't draw people a lot of times. I draw like cute shit because I like making cute stuff that makes people smile. When it comes to people who draw other people or create things for other people, it's coming from a place of something that the artist knows. And the clothing designed, like the clothing conversation, I can kind of understand because I don't understand now when a lot of brands don't go up to extended sizing because, especially in America, because there is just such a demand for it. Like, I don't understand when people don't do that, but that's besides the point. When it comes to like the illustration and you're like a bad artist because you don't draw fat people because they're assuming that you can't draw fat people. It's like, I just think they're drawing what they know and what they grew up drawing and what they have the most practice drawing, especially if they're selling it, right? Because it's going to turn out the best and that therefore it's going to be more marketable. Would you assume the same thing if fat artists didn't draw skinny people? That's my question. Because I don't think so. I don't think that could go the same way. And I don't think all conversations have to be flipped like that. I don't think all conversations should be flipped like that, but I think this is trivial enough that it can be. I just thought this was ridiculous because I have seen so many great fat artists draw fat people and they're beautiful, beautiful photo and they're beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. And like, I'd love to own some, like, honestly, I do think body diversity is important in media. Absolutely. And I think if you can do that, then you should. But if you can't, then you're not a bad artist. And also whether art is good or bad is completely subjective. Yeah, I just thought this was a wild take. Because I just know, like, what my senior thesis project in school was about invisible illnesses and disabilities, because I have an invisible chronic illness and my mom has an invisible disability. And a lot of like human-centered design, so like product design majors made like accessibility products, mock-ups, because somehow disabilities played a role in their life. And like everybody's thesis project when I graduated school had something to do with themselves. And I think when it comes to making art, it is good to push yourself, but I do think it's okay to just do what you know and do what you feel the most comfortable, and that doesn't make you a bad artist. Yeah. And so I just thought this was a wild take, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit as someone who studied the art for 5 years, but honestly kind of more than that. On to the next one.
This person says, I don't want to be fat because I have been before and it was uncomfortable. I am also so much healthier now, so why would I ruin that? In that last video, when I asked, why do you not want to be fat? It was to get you to think about the reasons behind not wanting to be fat. I'm not suggesting that everybody try to become fat because fat is better somehow. But one of the main things about fat phobia is that we assume fat people are unhealthy because of their fat. But even if every single person on this planet ate the same foods, did the same exercise, we all lived the exact same lives, there would still be fat people and non-fat people. And there are some healthy habits that you can adopt that will probably make you lose weight. So let's say, for example, that I don't want to drink soda because we know soda is not good for you. If I am previously a soda drinker and I give up drinking soda, there is a good chance that I will lose weight from that. But even if I did not lose any weight from cutting soda out, the cutting out of the soda is the healthy habit. In all the videos that I've made about this in the past couple days, I was very clear to say intentional weight loss, because that's what I mean when the intention is weight loss and not health. But because of fat phobia, we conflate them to be one and the same thing, that being fat is bad health, and being thin is good health. And statistically, if you're going based on the mortality rate, people who are slightly overweight are actually the healthiest group. Most of our research about fat and its effects on the body are not done well either. All of these studies are also based on the BMI, which is also not accurate and has racist origins.
Okay, so I talked about this, and I only remember this because I literally just filmed it. I talked about this same conversation in my last TikTok reaction because I think it's a valid point to say, like, hey, I've been that size before. I was really uncomfortable. I've lost weight. I feel a lot better now. Why would I want to be fat again? Right. And because I said the same thing in that I don't think when you've been fat your whole life, or you've been fat for a considerable amount of time, you don't realize like how much it really does affect you physically and mentally and just in every way possible until you lose some weight and you're like, oh my God, walking is so much easier. Oh my God, I feel so much better. Oh my God, I'm more confident in myself now, blah, blah, blah. And you just don't realize like how much it's affecting those things until you've lost some weight. And I've experienced that firsthand. And so I don't think it is fat phobic at all to want to intentionally lose weight to feel better physically, or just to feel like you look better, because there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, I think anybody should be able to look how they want to look and just feel the best about themselves, no matter how that presents, right? And so like, I don't know. I think this conversation, much like the conversation surrounding Ozempic and like any of the weight loss drugs and stuff like that, has been flipped into something that it absolutely did not need to be. And people are now being harshly judged for wanting to intentionally lose weight more than I have seen personally in my time in this corner of the internet. I feel like ever since Ozempic and stuff came into the like cultural zeitgeist, if you will, the vitriol towards people, specifically fat people who are now using it to lose weight intentionally, is the worst I've seen it in a very long time from fat activists and people who make fat activism content. I don't know like about if everybody ate the same foods and did the same things and whatever, people would still look at. I don't know enough about that to talk about it, and I don't know if this person does either. Everything else, it's like, yeah, if you want to start cutting out things or like making healthier choices just to be healthier, like have at it, but you might lose weight and you probably will lose weight. But like, if you want to do it to lose weight also, that's fine, because it's your body and you can do what you want, right? And again, this goes back to the whole conversation where I think a lot of fat activism is inherently just like anti-feminist and whatever, because they take the conversation of bodily autonomy that comes with that and just throw it out the window. And when they talk about being a feminist group, right, and they have a lot of feminist origins, and they talk about it like it's some like very big issue when it's really not. And that is also a big issue that I have, which I talk about a lot, is they just conflate things and they inflate things to be bigger problems than they actually are. And it creates a very false sense of like anxiety and vitriol for like the presumably young female majority audiences that watch this kind of content on TikTok. So the next one is actually an image, and I'll just put it over me right now, because Fat Fab Feminist went to Paris. She traveled to Paris or just to Europe. I don't know if she just went to Paris. I don't know. But on her TikTok, she was posting a lot of Paris. She talked about traveling as a fat woman because someone commented saying, what's it like traveling as a fat woman? The US doesn't feel built for us, but is it worse internationally? And she said, I'll make a more in-depth video later, but here's my experience. Europeans have a staring problem. Some places, in parentheses, Italy, are more intense than others, but it definitely happens to me more in Europe than New York. I'm assuming she means shopping. Shopping for clothes is next to impossible, but I'm aware of that, so it's not disappointing. Just make sure to pack everything you may need clothing wise, and it's definitely a lot more walking than in the US, but as long as you are traveling with people who know what is and is not accessible to you, you can definitely make accommodations for yourself. I personally budgeted more for Ubers, which helps a lot. So this, for those of you who don't know, first of all, I wanted to have a conversation about this because I'm looking forward to seeing her video about it more in depth. But I studied abroad in college, and when I studied abroad, I was pretty much 300 pounds. I studied abroad in London, but I ventured to Amsterdam. I went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and I never made it to Italy or Paris, so I can't speak on that. But I will say, and this was back in 2016. And so just even from those experiences, and I was in England, and England also has an obesity epidemic like the US does. I don't think it's as bad as ours, but it is a thing. I still, the way fat people are looked at in Europe and just abroad in general, not in the US, is very different. But it's just because it's not as common of a thing as it is in America. I just don't know if I was cognizant of it or not, because I just didn't care because I was having so much fun. But like, things are smaller there. But like Victoria said, I do think it's important to have realistic expectations when you leave the US as a fat person. And this is where when Glitter and Lasers like goes to various places like Spain or Finland or whatever, like I talked about in my history lesson about her, and her getting frustrated that her finding clothes was so difficult. I'm like, what did you expect? I just think it's funny, and I'm not saying Victoria is doing this now, but it just brought it up because I've seen this a lot on my TikTok For You page right now, because a lot of plus size influencers and stuff like that are going to Italy and all that, and like talking about how people are staring at them. I just think it's hilarious when Americans go to other countries, specifically fat Americans go to other countries and forget, just like we have our own traditions and ways here, as do other people in other countries. And I think it's wild when specifically fat people go to other countries where being fat is not nearly as common, and then they just are surprised that people like stare at them or whatever. Because does it suck? Yeah, like I didn't experience that as much as far as I knew. I was too oblivious. I was having way too much fun. I didn't give a fuck. But like, I didn't experience it, but I do know it's a thing. I've heard accounts of it many different times. But I'm just always shocked when people are surprised, because like, I think we've just gotten so used to fatness being such a common thing in America, because it is. I think it's more common to be fat than it is to not be fat. So I'm just always shocked when people go to Europe or other places and are like, oh my God, they're looking at me weird, or oh my God, they don't have clothes for me here, because that market just doesn't exist there. Like, it might, but it's not nearly as in demand as it is in America. I'm looking forward to Victoria's video on this more in depth, because I think it'll be interesting. Honestly, I think fat travel content is great. Like J-Bay, the girl who's petitioning for bigger airplanes and stuff like that, whole different conversation. But like there's another account on TikTok called, I think, Plus Size Park Hoppers, and they're just a group of girls or a group of people who are fat and love Disney and Disney parks, and they talk about like the accessibility of rides and restaurants and stuff like that. I think it's great. I think that kind of content is great when it's done properly, and because I do think it's good to know what to expect, because like I talk about, like, you can be on a weight loss journey, right? But like, you can't lose 100 pounds overnight, and so like, but you also should live your life as much as you can in the meantime. And so I think knowing what accommodations you may need or what to expect and stuff like that is really important. But also, when you travel to a country or part of the world where obesity is not nearly as common as it is in America, don't shit on the culture there for not knowing how to handle it or not having accommodations for it, because they don't have a need to. And it sucks, but like, it's just true. And yeah. So, and I'm not defending America at all. Just FYI, I'm not, things are bleak right now. But yeah, so I just wanted to end on this. I will, like I said, I'm pre-filming this, so if Victoria posts her like in-depth video, I'll watch it and see if it's worth talking about, because I do think this is an interesting conversation. But yeah, that's all I have for today's video. Let me know what you think down below about any of this. I always love reading your comments. I learn something new all the time about different people's experiences and stuff like that just from reading comments on my videos. And yeah, leave a green heart emoji for Brat Summer down below, like we did in the last video where I wore this this top. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds if you need them, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.